Welcome back to another episode. Welcome back to another episode of Route It Up. It's your host, Whittle 2K, with my co-host JMIK. JMIK, how you doing, man? It's Wild Card Weekend.
I'm doing good. I woke up this morning and I looked out my window and I seen snow falling, man. So it's officially wild card weekend, man.
Yeah, I got some snow out front, and I got to get out there after this. Hopefully, don't nobody slipping through me. But you know, but yeah, man. Wild Card Weekend, man. Let's get started. We got a great slate of games starting today at 4:30. With the Texans and I believe it's the Texans and the Chargers first game out the shoot.
Yep.
Um, but this week, uh, in the wild card, we have two rookie quarterbacks making their debut in the playoffs. We have a couple of coaches. Actually, three quarter, two rookies, but three quarterbacks making their debut in the playoffs. Sam Darnold, his first opportunity as a starter in the playoffs. You know, he spent all of them years with the Jets, who can't seem to win 7 games, or more than 7 games in the season. Um, but Jane Daniels is a rookie. Bo Nix is a rookie. You know, this is their first. This is their first crack at the playoffs, man. And when you look at the quarterbacks, when you look at some of these younger teams like the Commanders, like the Broncos, I guess you could even say the Chargers in some instances are an extremely young team. Uh, what do you think? Like, do you think that playoff experience is going to matter, or is that an overrated concept?
I think playoff experience definitely matters. You really can't say that it doesn't because you get in these situations. This is not baseball. This is not the NBA where you get to play a series. This is one and you're done. So you gotta, like when you step on that field, you gotta perform. And I just think for vets, like they've experienced this, this sort of atmosphere. And like I think it really like for me, it really depends on if you're playing at home or not. Like if you're playing at home, then it makes it a lot easier. And I might not say it matters as much, but most times these rookies are going on the road, and you're going into loud environments. Weather could be an issue. Um, and I just think it makes a big deal. And you also got to couple that with, like last year for instance, CJ was a rookie. His coach was essentially a rookie head coach as well. And so it just kind of makes it difficult. Like it's a challenge to get over. Like there's things that you got to be able to get to playing on time. Is time management, and situational football. And sometimes when you have like a rookie leading your team, or the head coach is a rookie, that can be an issue. So like that's just something that I always take into account when I'm saying does playoff experience really matter. So
I agree, man. I think when you look at it, um, when you look at the playoffs, it's one and done. It's not like you can afford to have a bad game and then pick it up. You go watch film, correct your mistakes, and you can pick it up next week. No, you lose your game this week. Your season's over. You doing mock drafts and talking contracts. So it's an immense amount of pressure on coaches. People are looking to preserve their jobs. Um, and when it comes to these quarterbacks, like you may find yourself in a position where you're down 4 points with a minute and some change to go. And it's a situation you may have been in regular season games, but it's regular season. It's college, whatever. This is the playoffs. Like if you make a mistake on that drive, um, you know, you lose. Your team is done, no matter how well they played. And sometimes you're defined by those things. So playoff experience definitely matters because when you've been there before, you understand what to expect. It's almost like when you're practicing, you get these repetitions and they become second nature. You keep playing playoff games. You understand the intensity of the moment. You understand the complexity of the mistakes and what you're looking at and how things may change from the regular season to the playoffs. So playoff experience definitely matters. I think it's huge. But at the same time, there's an argument to be made for young guys who've never experienced. And they can just look at it and say, listen, I've never been in this type of situation before. I'm just going to attack it the way I attack everything else. And, sometimes it's a little more carefree for a younger team to get to this spot. You playing with house money. You've already exceeded in terms of the Broncos and the Commanders. You've already exceeded the expectations for your season. You've already exceeded your expectations. So you go into this game and you playing with house money. You can basically go out there and play carefree. And if you make mistakes and lose, you wasn't supposed to be here anyway. But if you win, now agendas can start to be pushed about you, right? In a positive direction.
Yeah, I mean, like that very thing happened with CJ Stroud last year, man. Like, what I mean, like he went into a second matchup with the Browns. He played really well. And I mean, people was pushing, they won that game and lost the next week, but throughout the offseason, I mean, people were putting them in the top 5. So that's exactly what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. All right, JMIK. What's the game of the week, man? It's a good slate of games, but what's the biggest? What's the game of the week? What's the biggest game this week in Wild Card Weekend?
I mean, so like, because this is hard, man. Because I mean, like most of the time, I mean, playoff games for the most part are really good games. I mean, like you might get a blowout every here and there. And I mean, like it's tough. Like I wanted to pick Steelers Ravens. I mean, because I mean, like that's a divisional joint. Um, but with the game I had to go with the Commanders and the Buccaneers, man. I mean, it's a Sunday night football game. It's a game that to me could go either way. Like I'm kind of looking like I could go with Tampa Bay, I could go with the Commanders. They kind of got the star powers, I mean like star power. What I mean like I mean Jaden Daniels, and you got I mean Baker Mayfield, and you got a bunch of guys. You got Scary Terry, and you got Mike Evans. You got a bunch of guys. You got a bunch of guys in this game. And to me, the reason I have it as the game of the week is like this could be the most explosive offensive game of the week. I mean, you could see a lot of points scored in this game. Um, and I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and I just think it's going to come down to which team is going to execute the best. I mean, going down the stretch. And I mean, that's kind of why I think it's like the best game of the week, and so I really can't wait for it.
Yeah, I was going to select the same game, but for a different reason. I'm looking at. I mean, it's going to be fun because I think they knew what they were doing. They put it Sunday night like that. I think that's the biggest thing. But brother, you got Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans. Sunday night standalone, all the marbles. That's the game. Like that's the matchup right there, man. Like I'm tuning in just for that. Like I love Baker Mayfield. I love I've loved what I've seen from Jaden Daniels this year, but I'm tuned in for that. Um and yeah, like I think it's an excellent uh clash of styles where you have Jaden Daniels, who is basically the do everything guy, and it's really wowed a lot of the NFL viewers this year with his ability and poise under pressure. The way he's able to dissect zone defenses and complete passes in big moments, be accurate down the field into some tight windows, in key spots during the game. Like he's extremely clutch, extremely clutch. And then you have Baker Mayfield, who at any moment can dial up, an elite level performance and hang 30 plus on a team. No matter how good the defense is, Baker just he when people say he got that dog in him, that's Baker Mayfield. But I'm gonna choose the Eagles versus the Packers. That's how the season started this year. Eagles Packers in what was it, Brazil? I think they played in Brazil this year.
Yep.
So it's almost fitting that we open up the playoffs with that matchup again. The teams are vastly different. Um, the Eagles are coming in here with all the momentum. The defense has been playing well of late. Quinyon Mitchell, they have a candidate for a defensive rookie of the year there. Saquon Barkley, been in the MVP talks. Jalen Hurts, like I'm not sure what his status is. I'm sure he'll play, but he was out for the last game with a concussion. And yes, take she say hi everybody. All right, bye bye. Um, yeah, she so Jalen Hurts, I don't know if he's gonna play, but you got AJ Brown, you got a bunch of stars, you got Jordan Love on the other side. I mean, they're coached extremely well. Defensively, they're missing Jair Alexander, but they've still been able to get after the passer. Their linebackers have played well. Xavier McKinney is was he named to an All Pro this year, I believe. I
Yeah,
mean,
first team, yeah.
first team, yeah. So this is a good. I think this is a good matchup. It's a good clash of styles. We're really going to see this how good that Eagle secondary is, and all of the draft assets that the Packers have put into that front seven over the last few years. We're about to see it. We're about to see how good it is. They took Van Ness last year. They got a bunch of guys on that. Quay Walker's there. A bunch of guys the first and second round sitting on that defensive line and as linebackers. We're gonna see how good they are. They got to go up against Jalen Hurts, who's a threat to run, and against Saquon Barkley. So that's my pick for game of the week.
I mean, it's
Upset of the week. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I was about to say, like, yeah. I mean, I think, I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, like, if you pick any of these games, I don't think you really can go wrong. But especially this game, it's kind of like what you said. Like, they played before, they're playing again. And there's a lot of question marks going to this game on like both teams. So yeah, I mean, this again could be really good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Upset of the week. I'm gonna go. They're favorites on the road, and I don't know if they should be. I think the Texans are going to beat the Chargers. I know the Chargers are coming in with a ton of momentum, um, but I just feel like can CJ Stroud be a bad quarterback like all year long and get away with it? Because like he hasn't played well since like the first month of the season. He's kind of been spotty. Um, but I look at the Chargers defensively and I ask myself, who's checking Nico Collins? Because I don't know. And then I look at uh the other weapons. You got a Dalton Schultz who is probably going to end up drawing Dion Henley or Derwin James. So then you got to deal with Joe Milton out the backfield. And I know the Chargers are going to play some man defense. You play man, I mean, they're going to play a lot of zone defense. You play a lot of zone defense, you're going to open things up for a guy like Robert Woods to make himself available and be an outlet to CJ Stroud. It's just I'm worried about that offensive line. Can they hold up for 2 seconds? Can you just give the man time to get through two of his progressions before you give it up? I don't know. That's a matchup there. But then on the other side, man, I look at the Chargers and they have limited weapons. J.K. Dobbins, he's coming off an injury and he's a nice player. Gus Edwards is a nice player. And their offensive line has been pretty good. They put a couple tight ends out there and they want to run the football, but um, those edges for Houston, uh, those linebackers, like I think they have enough to corral that run game and force them into Chargers into situations where they have to rely on Justin Herbert. Last time we saw Justin Herbert in the playoffs, his team got 5 turnovers and he couldn't put the ball in scoring in the end zone for an entire half. Is he better now with less weapons? What happens if what happens if D'Amico is able to cook something up and take Matt Ladd out of the picture? You trust Quentin Johnson out there all alone with potentially one of the best, probably the a top three corner in Stingley. I don't. I mean, it could get ugly. It could get ugly the other way. So, um, I think it's a better matchup than people are letting on. I like Houston to win this game, and they're at home, but the Chargers come in as favorites, and I just think it's a mistake.
Yeah. So for me, the funny thing was I was going back and forth with this game and another game because it's just been like the most disrespected playoff team to me is the Steelers. The second most disrespected team was the Texans. Like, no, I don't like. I think a lot of people picking the Chargers are like, I get it. The Texans down the stretch didn't play well. And I wasn't gonna go with this game, but then I decided not to. Like, I'm gonna go with the Commanders. I mean, Commanders are going on the road to Tampa Bay. They are they are underdogs by a field goal. And I just think like the type like so what I look at is like the type of season that Jane Daniels is having, and even going down the stretch the last couple weeks of the season. I mean, like if you watch him in that Falcons game, I mean, I mean, like the game was tight down the stretch, and I mean, he literally willed the team on his back, and I mean, like we won that game. And to me, like the Commanders' defense has been playing better as the season has gone on. Um, and so I'm like, when I look at all the aspects of this game, I mean, to me, what's going to be vitally important for the Buccaneers is to be able to run the ball with, I mean, Bucky Irvin. That's going to be vitally important to me. I mean, because it takes a little bit of pressure off of Baker. I mean, Baker has obviously been to the playoffs multiple times. It's not like it's his first rodeo. But, I mean, but I just think sometimes Baker it can get difficult for Baker sometimes if he feels like he got to be Superman, and I wouldn't want Baker to be Superman like he got to throw the ball 50 times. That's
Right.
I'm like I'm a Bucks fan. That's something that I'm not looking for. And the Commanders' defense isn't exactly the best against the run. And then like it's kind of what you also said earlier about like the Mike Evans and I mean like I mean Marshawn Lattimore matchup. I mean whenever they match up, that is like a war. So I anticipate that. I mean, Mike Evans will have some production, but I mean, I mean, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be betting on him to get, 9 receptions for 100 yards. Like I wouldn't, I just don't see that. Like I think if Marshawn is healthy, I mean, he's going to limit. I mean, like Mike Evans. I mean, maybe to maybe 30, 40 yards. Because if you look at the matchups when they play each other, Mike Evans doesn't do a whole bunch. I mean, he just really doesn't. Um, and I mean, like, so I look at that part of the game, but then I mean, like, also like the Commanders offensively. I mean, you have Scary Terry. I mean, like Zach Ertz has become a vital part, a part of that offense recently. And so you have him, and you got Brian Robinson. Like I said, you got Scary Terry. And so I just think Jaden has the ability to make plays. I just think if the game is close, he's going to put the team on his back. He's going to will them to win. And I mean, like, and that's why I like them in this game.
I'm surprised you didn't go. I thought you was going. I thought you was going to go Steelers over Ravens, but I actually think that that's a possibility too. Jose Flowers to me is huge with him. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. My only issue with taking them is just, man, like the way the offense has played down the stretch has not been good.
Right.
So that was,
Yeah.
I mean, that was my only thing. Is like like I said earlier, like the most disrespected team in this playoff, picture is the Steelers. Nobody giving them a chance to win. I mean, this is if this was a Mike Tomlin spot, I don't know what is. Like this is like they're almost 10-point dogs. Zay Flowers not there. Nobody thinks they can win. Everybody thinks Russell's washed up. I mean, they're on the road, so it kind of like there's no expectations for the Steelers. So I mean, and they have beaten the Ravens already. I mean, it's definitely a good spot.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
just like, but just like I said, the way the offense has been playing, like, I mean, the only thing is to beat the Ravens. I feel like you got to at least be able to put up 20 points. I mean, you have to be able to do that at the minimum. And so I mean, I mean, like we're gonna see like I mean, like they're in the same division, third time playing. You know what they say? Whenever you play a team 3 times, man, I mean, like funny stuff start happening. So
Yeah, you're right, man. Like this is one of those, and this is one of those situations where Mike Tomlin has. I think Mike Tomlin has some pressure on him, but not really because, like, we could talk about. The conversation can go to well, Mike Tomlin. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game since 2016. But if you look at it, like, bro, if they lose to the Ravens, like, like? I mean, nobody's going to say, "Oh, that's a bad loss." Like, it's the Ravens. People are talking about the Ravens going to the Super Bowl. If they lose to the Ravens, it's just a loss. It's a bad draw. And they'll look at it and say, Tomlin should have did more to get a higher seed and end up playing, a different team. But that's not a bad loss for them.
true.
But if the Ravens lose,
Yeah, that's I mean that
that's ugly for Lamar Jackson. Like, it's ugly for Lamar Jackson and all of Lamar Jackson protectors. It's very ugly for them. If he loses this game, wild card weekend against 30 against what 37-year-old
Russell.
Sierra's husband, man, 37 years old.
Yeah, I mean, and I think
How
the
you
only thing
57 years old going into Baltimore winning the game?
and I mean, like, I think a lot of people are underplaying Zay Flowers. I mean, Zay is a really good wide receiver. I mean, like, he creates things in that offense that if he's not there, I mean, like, I've heard people saying, oh, well, it's time for, I mean, like, Rashad Bateman to step up. But, like, my question to people that defend the Ravens or talk about the Ravens is, why do you think Bateman has such a good season? Like, he's not attracting coverage. He's just not. So that's, I mean, it's Zay Flowers, and you got Mark Andrews, and you got Isaiah Likely. So I mean, like, Bateman is freed up to just kind of do what he does and be able to have the season that he had. And I think without Zay being there, I mean, it's just going to be tough for them. I mean, I would assume that the Ravens will use, I mean, Isaiah Likely more. I mean, because Zay's not there, and I mean, he's a really good receiver too. But I mean, like, not having Zay Flowers there is a big deal. And, like, I think the other thing a lot of people ain't talking about is they ruled him out 3 days before the game, was letting me know that his condition might be real questionable for next week. So
Yeah, man. No, and on top of that, I mean, this is a tough matchup for the Ravens because the addition of Derrick Henry kind of forces you to want to play more guys in the box, which then opens things up for a Bateman, for a Flowers down the field, right?
yeah,
And then because you have two guys that essentially can take the top off the defense, you also want to play too high and keep your safeties back to protect against the big play. But now you take Flowers off the field. And if I'm in Steelers, I'm comfortable going 5-man front with a single high safety shaded towards Bateman. I can put my best corner, which is JPJ, who is healthy. They did not rush him back. They let him come back, let him rest, and now he's back and he's healthy. He's practicing. You can put JPJ or Bateman and make things very difficult for him. Now you have a situation where you got Fitzpatrick covering you got Minka covering Mark Andrews, and you can put Deshaun Elliott or one of your linebackers on Likely, and you can make things really difficult. And you got those edges who are super athletic and Highsmith and Herbig and TJ Watt, who number one are going to get after the quarterback, and then they're going to make it difficult to run outside, and they're going to defend the screens very very well because they're athletic enough to and smart enough and experienced enough because they've been here multiple times and they have multiple games against this Ravens team. They're going to be able to get out in space, analyze what's going on, and get out there and make those screenplays a little more difficult. I don't know, man. Like Cam Haywood has good games against the Ravens. If he dials it back, he dials it back a couple years and has a good game. This could get very ugly. This could get very ugly. So,
yeah,
uh, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a very very very, very, very good game to keep your eye on. All right, playoff bracket prediction. Uh, let's put this. Let me see if let me pull it up. Pull up the bracket really quickly because I want to. Here it is. All right, playoff bracket. Where are we at? Wait, what? Can't get it up here. Come on, man. All right, it's not coming up. All right, well, we'll do it the old fashioned way. All right, J Mick. Okay, there we go. There we go. J Mick, let's where you want to start? NFC or AFC?
we can start in the AFC first.
NFC? All right. Um what you got? Wild card weekend, brother. Rams Vikings.
I'm gonna take the Vikings. Like this, I mean the whole wildfires thing and that the shit going out to LA. I mean my prayers go out to like the people of LA and California, whatever. I just think that's a huge distraction. And I didn't going into the game. I didn't think the Rams were the better team, anyways. So I mean, when you couple that with the distraction of the wildfires and I mean people dealing with real life situations, I just like the Vikings in that game.
I agree. My only hesitation is a couple weeks ago, Matthew Stafford looked like he was 27 against the Bills and put up 44 points. I mean, he was amazing. There's always that potential there. That's the thing that scares me. Um, but yeah, the turmoil going on, like obviously the wildfires is a situation that transcends football. They are probably gonna have to move that game, and I don't know. The Vikings got a lot to prove. They have a ton of firepower. That secondary has not. I mean, they got to deal with Addison. They got to deal with Jefferson. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. Hawkinson, that's a lot to deal with. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But I'm going to take the Vikings as well. Buccaneers, Commanders.
Yeah, I mean this is my upset of the week, so I'm going with the Commanders. So and you already know what that is. So
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Buccaneers here, man. I think Todd Bowles is an experienced defensive coordinator, and they have really good safeties down there. I think that they'll do a good job of stopping the Commanders from running the football. And Jaden Daniels has played great. He's also a rookie. I think that Todd Bowles will be able to bait him into some mistakes. And I like it's just something like Baker just he's got that it factor, bro. And I think that they get up 2 scores, they lean on that run, and they have some big play guys like McMillan and Cade Otton as a tight end. Like he's a very good option in space. I don't know, bro. Like I feel it's going to be the Buccaneers. Um, Eagles Packers. I'm gonna say it's the Eagles. Like I think the Packers. I just don't. I mean, Jordan Love to me is too much of a wild card. Uh, I could see it going either way, but I think the Eagles are just playing too good of football right now, and I don't know. I don't love the Packers. I like the Packers, but I don't love them in this matchup. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with the Eagles for the simple fact it's kind of what you said. I mean, I don't really trust Jordan Love. I mean, he starts out these games really slow. And I get it that the Eagles, I mean, like there was a portion of the season where they would not score in the first quarter and start off slow. But to me, if the Packers can't run the ball, I don't think they have a chance. And I think if people want to reference the first game of the season when they played, I don't think the Eagles were using Saquon how they are currently using them right now. And
Right.
so I mean, like Saquon to me, I mean Saquon to me is definitely like a serious problem. Um, so I just think it's like the Eagles of coming down the stretch have played so well that I just gotta go with the Eagles. But the funny thing is, it's the same spot that the Packers were in last year. I mean, the Packers are the 7th seed last year. They were, I mean, last year they were more, underdogs than this year. Um, but I just like the Eagles too much in this game.
Okay. Let's go AFC side. We're gonna go. Texans Chargers. I think we picked this already. Well, wait, no. I got Texans, but who you got?
I'm going with the Texans, man. I mean, there's a lot of people on the Chargers. A lot of people love the Chargers, but it's kind of what you said. Like, if the Texans put Stingley on Ladd and they take Ladd out the game, I mean, who they throwing to? I mean, they throwing to Will Disley and Palmer and QJ. Like, and I mean, I just don't like that. Like I just think, I mean, D'Amico the kind of coach that can motivate the team, and I mean, like, and he's really good at that. And I mean, he doesn't have to go far to get the motivation because nobody thinks they're gonna win.
I agree, man. I'm going Texans here as well. Ravens Steelers. Where you going?
Man, I gotta go to Ravens, man. I don't think the Steelers have enough firepower to win this game. I mean, I would love to be wrong, but I'm gonna go with the Ravens here.
Supposed to be some weather. Supposed to be some weather in Pittsburgh for this game, which turns this into a game more about the ground game, and it kind of negates some of that speed advantage I think the Ravens have. Not to mention, my mother's a Steelers fan, and I want to remain in her good graces. So here we go. I'm going Raven. I'm going Ravens taking the L and the agenda to begin Saturday night / Sunday morning. All right, Bills Broncos. I mean, I'm not unbiased here. I got to go with the Buffalo Bills in this matchup. The Bills have prioritized health over the last month of the season. They've gone up against some really great offenses, and the defensive numbers have taken a hit. But if you look at the entire body of work of what the Bills have been able to do, yeah, man. I mean, people are going to say, well, the Bills, they can't defend the run. They said that before the Lions game as well. And Sonic and Knuckles got all their rings knocked out during that game. And, we were able to get that dub. So I'm going Buffalo, man. We got.
Um, I just got to go Buffalo. Like I think like the Broncos and the Chargers are a year ahead of schedule. Both these teams. And I think the Broncos will be a much better team next year. I don't see it in this matchup because I mean everybody says the Bills can't stop the run, but the Broncos can't run the ball either. So it's not like I mean to me the only guy on that team I feel confident in the Broncos running the ball is Bo Nix. I mean their running backs aren't bad, but for some reason they've just not been able to run the ball consistently all season. And so for me, like I look at Sean McDermott, man, like if you can't run the ball, you just make his job that much easier. And I just think Bo Nix is going to give the Bills defense a couple balls to pick off. And I just, like I said earlier, like I just don't like the spot for the Broncos. And I think this team will be much better next year, but I just don't see it today.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that's it, man. We checking it. No. Okay, we still going. We still going. Got a couple more topics. My bad. My bad, family. My bad. All pro reactions. Um, you go first, man. You go first on this one.
All pro reactions. I mean, so obviously I'm gonna speak for my team first. My team had a special teamer Schooler, which I mean, pretty much everybody calls him like one of the best special team players in the league. So I mean, I wasn't too shocked that he's going to make the first, second team. I wasn't shocked about that. I mean, like the name that most of my families was on the kind of the building with was Christian Gonzalez, because we was wondering, we all knew he wasn't going to make first team because I mean, like I pretty much figured it was going to be Surtain and Stingley. I kind of knew that already. But I mean, we're waiting to see if he gets second team. I mean, he got second team. I mean, the team is bad, but he's played exceptionally well. So I'm happy for the kid because he, his first year he only played 4 games. He got hurt. And I mean, this year, I mean, he played pretty much the full season. They didn't play him the last game of the season because last game of the season really didn't mean nothing. So, I mean, so I'm happy for the kid. Now, I mean, from an NFL perspective, and I mean, like, even though the Bills are in my division, they're my rivals, like, I just got to say this, man. Like, if you only give up, what was it, 14, 15 sacks in a season?
14, yep.
And you don't have any all pros on the line, I think that's a flaw in the system. Like, I got to say it. They didn't even get a first or second team. Like, and that doesn't make sense to me because if the quarterback doesn't get sacked, I don't know how you don't put one person on the line. I mean, I'm looking at the list and I get it. I mean, like, I mean, Joe Tooney was going to make it. Like that was a given. Creed Humphrey at center was going to make it. I mean, like the center for Denver, like I don't know a lot about him, so I got to look at more than that. And I mean, Penei Sewell was going to make it. Worse was kind of, I mean, to me that's kind of a gray area, but I think people love him because he started at right tackle and he switched to left and he's still really good. But I think, I mean, like the Bills to me should have had one lineman make all pro. First off, I mean, secondly, like I'm not gonna even touch on the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. I mean, to me, those were the 2 best quarterbacks in the league. So I mean, I mean, whoever you give the AP to, first team, second team, like I'm not gonna really touch that. But like I mean, I didn't like I didn't see a bunch of stuff that I really didn't like. I mean, for the most part, they got the list right. My only thing was I didn't realize that Marlon Humphrey was a nickel corner. Like I thought he was a boundary corner, but and I didn't realize that Derwin James was also a slot corner as well. Like I thought he was a safety, but my only issue with the league is like when you put guys and give guys all pro designations that most of the people don't even know that they're playing slot. I mean, what you're doing is like the guys that really play slot more than 50% of the time, like it hurts those guys, and those guys won't be in positions to get I mean, all pro first, second team. So I mean, realistically, like those are the two things that I had issues with, like the line and like the slot corner. So
Yeah, I know. So for me, I look at I didn't have a problem with the quarterbacks, the running backs, or the receivers, or the tight ends. Really, like I mean, it just kind of is what it is. Like I think those guys, fullback, I had no issues. I don't think Tristan Wirfs has been better than. I don't think Tristan Wirfs has been better than Deion Dawkins this year. Sorry, I think Deion Dawkins deserved that first team All Pro at left tackle. I think he's been excellent all season long. Um, if you just turn on the tape, you'll see it. But it's just the disrespect to a team that went 13-4 really should have been 14. Like if they needed to win the last game, they would have been 14-3. I I just think the disrespect, man, of just having like one All Pro, and my other issue was corner for the second team. Um, I think Trent McDuffie and Christian Gonzalez are both excellent corners. I don't think either one has had a better year than Christian Benford. You put Christian Benford's coverage numbers against Patrick Surtain, and they are extremely close. In many ways, Christian Benford was better this year than Patrick Surtain. I think that this award, I think that the All Pro is kind of starting to get shaded towards like name recognition versus what's actually happening on the field. Like Derwin James should not be an All Pro at slot. He's a safety. Like we know that he's a
yeah,
safety, guys. And but you put him there, and in my opinion, you rob somebody of of uh of an All Pro selection. But it kind of is what it is. Like the linebackers, I'm happy for Frankie Louvu. I think him and Bobby Wagner have had a good year. Uh, and Zaire Franklin as well. I just thought that though I thought Zaire Franklin had a case for first team at linebacker over Roquan Smith, if we're being frank. Um, but outside of that, man, I mean, Miles Garrett, Trey Henderson, yeah, duh, um, and then the second team again, the line is what it is, and T.J. Watt, Nick Benito, like, yeah, those guys have been dogs all season. So, yeah, 100%. I didn't have many issues with the All Pro selection, but you know, I I just thought the Bills should have had at least two more guys up there. Definitely two more guys, but whatever.
yeah. So I'll add this too. Like for me, I've always viewed all pro, like once you make one all pro, it makes it easier to make another one. And I mean, if you have
Right.
a 1-1, then it's very hard. Like it's hard to make all pro. And so I think I do think you're right. Like name recognition does matter, because I think once you make the list a couple times, like the voters are going to look at you like, oh yeah, like he's been an all pro before. And I mean, and you don't necessarily need the best season to make that list again. But if you've never made it, I think you got to have a really great season. And I think that's kind of like the flaw with the system.
All right. The most man, this is like over the last month or so, this MVP discussion has been like the Bloods and Crips in the '80s, man. Like it's been nasty work, bro. It's been bad. Social media, the national media, it's been nasty. Uh, what's your final prediction for the MVP?
I'm not changing, man. Like I mean, like, like last week we did this, and Josh Allen didn't play against the Patriots. He played one snap to keep a streak record. So, and I mean, Lamar had an okay game against against the Browns. I mean, it wasn't nothing spectacular. So I'm not changing. Like, like the performance I seen from Lamar wasn't good enough for me to change who I've been saying over the last month should be MVP. And to me, it's Josh Allen. Like, you take Josh Allen off that team, I don't know what the Bills are without Josh Allen on that team. I really don't. I mean, at least I can say if you take Lamar off the team, at least they have Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Andrews, Likely, and then on the defense side they got Roquan, Matabuke. At least I could point to guys that they still have. I'm not saying that the Ravens will make the playoffs. I don't think they'll make the playoffs either. But I think the Ravens would be in a much better spot than the Bills. I think the Bills depend a lot on Josh Allen to do a lot for that offense and a lot for that team. And I mean, like, granted, Lamar got the better stats, but something I was listening to last night was I forgot who was saying it. I think it was Peter King was saying it. He was like, just because you have the better stats doesn't mean that you're the MVP. It's the award is not who's thrown for the most yards, the most touchdowns. This award is who is the most valuable to their team. And I gotta just say that Josh Allen is the most valuable to his team. Like I said, like, I'm not moving on my position because, like I said, like, I didn't get a lot of information that would make me change my position from last week.
I'm unfortunately going to change. I do believe, and let me preface this by saying, I believe Josh Allen should be the MVP. I don't think they're going to vote for him. I don't think he's going to get enough votes to win the MVP. I think Lamar Jackson's going to win his third MVP, his second back to back. And I think the criteria I think the criteria is changing week to week. I mean, of year to year, and I don't particularly like or understand the system that how these are happening. But I went and I watched that Browns game intently against the Ravens, and the whole first half, like, they were giving Lamar opportunities to throw the ball and to really kind of, put his best foot forward towards his MVP race. And he couldn't do it. The offense didn't take off until Derrick Henry got going. So I think Josh Allen should be the MVP. Like, if you look at it, he's from a snap count perspective, he's got over 100 snaps less than Lamar Jackson. So that's roughly 2 games worth of production on average. And, what's Josh Allen going to do in 2 games? 500 passing yards, another, 100 rushing yards, probably 7 or 8 touchdowns. Probably, I would say anywhere from 5 to 7 touchdowns in 2 games. Josh Allen's going to do that, provided he plays well. I think they're going to give it to Lamar, and I think they're weighting the Ravens and Texans game very heavily in their decision, because in the losses that the Ravens have had, Lamar has not played poorly. He hasn't been except for the Steelers game. Like, the Steelers game, he wasn't good. Like that, like, we got to be honest about that. He just wasn't good. But a lot of games, like, he just hasn't had to do a ton. You know, Against the Texans, Henry ran for like 200 yards. It was like 160. And Lamar was able to get, like, he had 3 touchdowns, but those 3 touchdowns, like, they weren't huge plays. Like, he ran around for a while and threw the ball in the end zone. It was a great play. It looked great. But I mean, that team scored 2 points, bro. They weren't, they weren't ready for that. They weren't ready for that game, and it just feels like the way that the all pros have been decided. You see where the push is going. The same people that pick the All Pros are the same people that pick the MVP. They favor. I don't know. It would be fair to me if Josh ended up with the MVP despite not being the first team All Pro, because statistically, I think that's what All Pro is. All Pro. Lamar has had a better statistical season than Josh Allen has. But ultimately, um, I think Josh Allen is more important. I think Josh Allen is more valuable to his team than like you said, he's more valuable to the Bills than Lamar Jackson is to the Ravens. Josh Allen accounts for 80% of the yards that the Buffalo Bills have. The team only has, I mean, they have 4 losses. 3 of them count. I mean, last week of the season, whatever. He took 1 snap. He's got the big moments. The only team in history to beat two 15-win teams in the same season. Took down, I don't know. The narrative at the beginning of the year was from the national media was the Bills don't have anything. They just got Josh Allen, and that's it. This is going to be a down year. They're going to finish with 9 wins. Done. We didn't make this narrative. The media did. Now the team is 13-4, the number 2 seed. Josh Allen's had an excellent year, knocked his turnovers down tremendously. The production is still high. It is what it is, man. I think he deserves to be the MVP, but I don't think he'll get it. So I leave that there.
Yes, we got a question from Ann Arabia. She says, "Do you think Saquon has a shot at the MVP? Is he the most valuable player to their team, or is it still going to be a quarterback award?"
They like I remember there was a game where like Saquon had like 40 or 50 he didn't have a great game and they still won by multiple scores. So I don't know if that's the case. Like I don't think Josh Allen can have a bad game and his team still win.
To answer the question, like I've been saying this for months, man. And I really do hate saying it, but like the MVP is a quarterback award. It just and it I hate it because I've been watching football for a long time, and I truly hate it that it's come to this where only quarterbacks win it. But you got to just take it for what it is, because like the last non-quarterback to win it was Adrian Peterson in '07. I mean, it's 2025. We're going on 20 almost 20 years of a non-quarterback winning the award. And so you just got to look at what the voters do. And I mean, there's a supreme emphasis on the quarterback position. Um, and I mean, Saquon had a great season. I was even telling people if he broke the record, I still don't think he was going to, I mean, like if he would have got those extra 100 yards against the Giants, I still don't think he was going to get the MVP. I just don't think it was ever going to happen because I mean, if a running back was going to win that award, CMC would have won it last year. I mean, the man had a combined 2,000 yards and over 20 touchdowns. I mean, his team last year was what, like the 1 seed, or there was a 1 or the 2 seed, and he still didn't get the award. And I mean, like Lamar, let's just face facts. Like Lamar statistically did not have that great of a season, as great of a season that he's having this year, and he still won the award. So like I said, I hate it. I mean, Saquon had a great season. I mean, he should be in the running for MVP, but it's just not how the voters see it anymore. And it's really a shame. I mean, like what they've really done is the offensive player of the year is essentially the non-quarterback. I mean, like an MVP award. I mean, that's essentially what it is. Because like I think what Reek won it last year, and I mean Saquon's going to win it this year. So
One more honorable mention of a Pro Bowl of an All Pro snub. If I don't say this, I'm probably going to get stuffed in the locker by a guy that lifts a lot of weights down in Miami. Zach Sealer from the Miami Dolphins, I believe, is the only defensive tackle to register double-digit sacks this year, and he's strung together 2 strong seasons in a row now. Still, they gave it to Zach Allen. Zach Sealer, I mean, PFF wise, rated a little bit higher than Zach Allen in some areas. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just like maybe it's just an AFC East bias. No, because they sent a couple of your guys to the pro, to
yeah.
All Pro. So, man, never mind.
And the guy I gotta mention, I mean, even though he didn't finish the season, was Dexter Lawrence, man. When he was playing, he was a terror out there. Um,
Yeah,
and I think if he would have finished the season playing, he definitely would have made it. But I mean, unfortunately, the dude got some injuries because there was a point where he was leading the league in sacks. And for anybody that
right.
watches football to understand, a D tackle, and not even just a D, I mean, he's like an interior lineman pretty much.
Yeah, two gapper. Yeah, he's a two gapper. Yeah.
To be leading the league in sacks is insane. It never happens. So
Yeah, man. So yeah, that wraps up another episode of Routed Up, man. We appreciate everybody for their support. Thank you for tapping in with us every week. We're here at 9 a.m. Um, on Route It Up, myself and JMIK, we're gonna be talking football. JMIK, man, good luck. You know, I guess in the search, man. I know we're division rivals, and I hope y'all do get a good coach, but not too good. Not too good, okay? All
Yeah,
right. Relax, guys.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna touch on this for a quick. It's funny, man, because the fan base is split in half. Like half the fan base want Mike Vrabel, and the other half want Ben
Ben
Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you what my mindset is. I don't want Vrabel because I feel like, let me just say this, man. Vrabel didn't coach under Bill Belichick. He played under him, but his coaching style is like Bill Belichick. And so I just got to the point where, man, I mean, like, give me an offensive coach, man. I mean, like, I got a quarterback that can make plays. So I mean, like, give that guy someone that he could grow with, someone he could win with. And I mean, Vrabel to me, he's not a bad coach. I just don't think he's what we need right now. So
I'll say this. Vrabel with the Titans, very good against the Buffalo Bills.
yeah, he was.
Very, he was very good against the Buffalo Bills. Like the Titans were throwing it our side for the entire time, since Josh Allen's been in the league, man. So yeah. But all right, everybody, we're gonna tap out of here. We got some. I think we got the check down coming up, right, J Mick?
Yeah, we got that at 11 a.m. I mean, we're gonna touch on the college football playoff, and we just had like the game last night and the game the other night. So we have the final matchup for college football. It's kind of sad, last game of the season. And we're gonna touch on the playoffs. So I mean, join us at 11 a.m. and and we're gonna give you some bets too. So yeah.
Okay, all right, and you can tap in with me on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. On YouTube. We also stream on Twitter, a bunch of different platforms, Facebook, Twitch, etc. Um, you can follow me at Whittle2K on Twitter. It's at Whittle Whittle. The two's the letter K. You can get the link there. It's the Coast to Coast podcast. Myself and my co-host Beyond 716 out there in California. Prayers up to him and his people. The fire hasn't affected them yet, but you never know. These things can change with as the wind blows. So prayers up to him. I hope he remains safe. But you can catch us on Wednesdays. We'll be talking the playoffs, win, lose, or draw. We're gonna also start getting into some prospect highlights this week coming up. We're gonna talk about some defensive linemen, mainly Tyleik Williams, Alfred Collins, and Deion Walker. We're gonna highlight those three guys. Maybe a little corner stuff. We're gonna get into that too, but tap in with us 9 p.m. Wednesdays, coast to coast. And we out of here. Anything from you, but Big Boss, or we good to go? All right, I guess we good.